Okay, I'm ready to cut leather. I had originally planned on making a whole cardboard template, but I've decided that this sketch is going to be template enough for me this time. There are still some decisions I haven't quite made yet, exactly where the stitches need to lie, how many of these rivets to use, and exactly where to place them. I think I'm going to see how the project evolves instead of trying to figure that out up front. Now, depends on the project, I think. Most times I think you want to know up front where all this stuff's going to be, but I'm having a hard time visualizing what this is going to look like. Once I have it in front of me, it's gonna have a particular look, and I want to know what that is before I make these decisions. I know that the straps, this is where they're going to be, and that does dictate where some of the stitches are going to be, but I don't think I need a template for that, because the stitches on the body or the actual arm guard are going to be, they're going to be invisible. I'm going to line the back, so they should be covered, and on the front we're going to have these belts going over top, so again they'll be covered. So in a sense it doesn't matter, hesitate to say that, but it doesn't, because they're not going to be seen. There's going to be other stitches that I'm still deciding exactly where and how to lay out, but they're going to be along the edges. They're going to be as hidden as I can make them, because like we talked about earlier, this being a metallic piece, we want to try to hide the stitches, because that's going to diminish that sort of metallic effect. So we want to be real careful about where the stitches are going to go, and I need to see it. I think I've decided I need to see the piece in front of me, painted, ready to be stitched, or close to it, before I can really make that call. So instead, I'm just going to work directly off of this sketch, get my leather. This is 7-ounce Buttero or Buttero. I've seen it pronounced both ways. Tell me which way you pronounce it, because I don't know. I know it's an Italian leather. I've always called it Buttero, so I'm going to call it that. And what we want here is to find an area. Let me first say that, see these stretch marks here, right? I really like those in my leather work, because they give it character. They remind you that this was once a living creature. They remind you to have respect for that creature and how it ended up. They help to make each item unique, even if it's made to the same exact pattern or template. You end up with each item being its own thing, and that's I think that's a really special thing. But in this instance, because we're going for this metallic look, character like that is going to ruin the effect. You can't have a scar running down your sheet of steel, right? But the best you could do is maybe kind of camouflage it to look like rust or something like that. But if you're going for a heavily acrylic style that your intent is not even to look like leather, things that look like leather break that effect, right? So we're looking now for a piece of this hide that has as few blemishes as possible. We want it to be smooth, and we want it to be uniform. There's a bit of a stretch mark through here. I think we can cover that up, and it kind of fades out as you get into this area, this corner. This is a very important sketch for me, right? Because this is the only copy I've got. I've done it all on paper, so short of taking a picture of it, I want to try to retain as much of it as I can. So I'm not going to just take my scratch awl and punch through and make holes. I'm going to use a stylus and mark, and it's still going to mar the paper, but it won't be as bad. And I'm just going to put dots, real faint dots, and then I'll use my scratch awl after I get the paper out of the way. One there, one there, one there, and one there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now I'm going to take all the time I need to line this up, because even though these dots don't correspond to the actual project, because they're outside, they're going to be rounded away. the lines that I draw between them are going to be the edge of the piece. So I want that to be very precise. There. In fact, I could almost cut it out right now, but I won't. I'll just make sure that these scores are nice and deep so that I can follow them with my knife if I need to. Now, for cutting these, I had planned to use my knife, and I guess I still could, but it occurs to me that I have a straight punch. It's made for credit cards, but you know, I think I like it. When you use these punches, it's totally fine, but when you come to the end here, you have to be careful because you can end up with just ridges there. They can be not very even. The way to deal with that is to overlap it about halfway, as opposed to trying to put it end on end. Alright, put this away. You'll notice this one is not labeled. Consequently, I don't know what it is. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's pigskin. And I'm pretty sure it's one of the first pieces of pigskin that I ever bought over 10 years ago, maybe 15. It's not got a very nice surface on it. It's kind of marred up and kind of nasty. But the flesh side, very soft, supple, smooth, feels good against my hands, feels good against my arms. It's going to be my lining. This is very easy. I'm just going to, I do want to find a nice area of it. Probably have to take a lint roller or something to it too. Look at this. Yeah, that lays pretty flat. I want it flat. I'm just going to, I don't want to waste any unnecessarily, but I am going to cut it larger than my piece. You'll see why later. That's good enough. Get a good pair of scissors. Yes, scissors. Just cut it out. This is real rough. It doesn't have to be a nice cut. It doesn't have to be a good job. Cool. Roll this up. Save it for another 10 years. So now, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm just going to show you. The idea will be, I got backwards. This, something like that. I'll go like that. So then we'll trim away all this excess, and that'll be our lining. It's gonna look nice. It's gonna add minimally to the width of the leather. We're gonna add some layers. It's not gonna be just that. You'll see. Now I can bring my piece back. Bring my design back. I hesitate to call it a template. It really isn't one, is it? But it's acting as one, so kinda. And I'm not gonna sweat the corners, nor am I gonna sweat the rivet positions, because all that'll be worked out later. Nor do I care about this interior size here. I'm gonna work that out later too. I haven't 100% decided on how wide this border wants to be. All I'm gonna focus on here and now are these arcs, here and here. Now I could freehand this, or I could get my trusty actual templates, right? Whatever arc you might have, a disc or a glass, whatever. Yeah, I'm just gonna draw that in with the stylus. I'll use the ball end of this stylus. I should have marked the leather. It's very faint, but it's there. And I'll do the same on this side. There it is. No! There we go. That was a little lighter than I meant to draw it. Oh, now I'm going heavier. Darn it. So I'm going to do it again. All I need is a guide. This isn't set in stone here. Because once I move this out of the way, I can now line this back up with the leather and draw it in much deeper with an awl. Ow! Ooh, that hurt. The less I have to move my arms, maybe actually moving my body is at the hips is good, because then I have an anchor. I'm going to bring my arm only to about here, and do the rest with my body. And I'm pressing very, very, very light. Almost no pressure at all. And every time I go over it, I'll cut a little deeper. That's good. Now this side. This is the same process, but because my template is made out of flimsy plastic, it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to cut the plastic, so it's a lot harder to cut the template. But same process, and to compensate, I'll just press even lighter. I can feel myself hitting board. I know that it's deep enough that I'm actually more in the leather than I am against the template now. Okay. Alright, there is the tiniest little hiccup right there where I let my mind wander and I got off my cut. It's okay, it's hard to even see. It's hard for me to see. And I'm just going to take a sanding block, 80 grit. Really coarse, probably too coarse. I probably could get away with 120 or something, but I'm just gonna sand that out. It's gone. Can't see it, can't feel it. It's gone. I think I will just go with like here's a 220, and just to try to smooth out those hairs a little bit. Now my corners, the outside corners are the easy ones. I'm just gonna get a punch. Over here I can do a smaller radius. Over here a larger. I think that makes sense because as it tapers down, I think a smaller radius makes more sense. This is my 10 millimeter. I think over here I may go with it's double the distance, right? So maybe a 20 millimeter. I hesitate to do it without knowing what it'll look like though. So, scraps. There's a 20. Were I doing this on a card template, like I normally should, perhaps I always should, I would already know what it looks like, and this would be an unnecessary step. But instead, since I skipped that, I want to know exactly what I'm getting into. So here we're going to do a 20. You know, as I see it, maybe that needs to be a 25 or 30. And over here's a 10. That maybe should be 20. Not 20. Maybe 20. What did I draw? What did my intuition say? My intuition said 20. Maybe 15 at the front. And about 20 in the back. That's what I freehanded. The question is, does that look good? Or does it need more work? I think it looks good. Okay, I'm going to do 20 in the back, in the front. What did I just say? 15 in the front, 20 in the back, right? I know it's a nice round though. I like that. There. Whoops. Now, because these punches are made for 90-degree turns, and that is not a 90-degree turn. You see it's slightly more than 90 degrees or less, depending on how you look at it. they have little edges here because of that. So I'm going to sand away those edges at 220, just lightly. Pretty good. Slightly different, but so so close. So close. That'll do it. Now over here, same thing, probably not the same size, but the same process. Just a little bit. The next step is just to sand. Go back to the 80. Now, moment of truth, did I get my measurements right? Now remember, I can't expect to completely flex my arm with this thing, because the whole idea is to hold your arm straight, right? But I do want some flex. That's not bad. It's about maybe 60 degrees. And then the wrist a little bit. That's not too bad. The more flex we allow, the less protection it's actually going to give us. And I think that's not too bad. And it comes around about where I'd want it to be in terms of distance. We talked about why this is going to be a little shy. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna roll with that. So I think next we can start thinking about our tooling.